Hello. Everybody doing? This is Curtis Davis. Conversations in C minor. Mellow evening here in Chesapeake. What the hell I'm talking about? Mellow evening here in Smyrna. I used to live in Chesapeake, but I don't live there no more. Sometimes I still wish I lived there, but it is what it is. Um, I'm gonna talk about one of my favorite guitar players in the original incarnation of the band. We're not gonna go. I'm not gonna do the supernatural. So y'all, if I say that, so I said supernatural. So y'all know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about Santana and Mr. Carlos Santana in the band. Greg Riley on keyboards. David Brown on bass. Neil Sean joined the band in the third album. But anyway, we're gonna start off after they played at Woodstock before the first. Actually, the first album was out when they played at Woodstock, and they did that crazy appearance there, and they was on acid, and it's on film. It's on a Woodstock movie. But we're gonna go start with the first record, Santana, with Evil Ways and Waiting, and then what is it? What's the last one? Soul Sacrifice, and You Just Don't Care. This is a good record. I like it a lot. It's one of my favorite. One of the things I listen to the most in rock music, Latin music. It's not like Mexican music. You know, he's from Mexico, so it's not like the Mexican music that you hear on the radio. That's annoying sometimes. You know, it's just my opinion. You know, some people might love it, but I can't stand it. This is for me the best Mexican music, Latin music of all time from this band Santana. Now this is the first album, and they did a lot of touring and got real successful with this album, and they did a lot of shows with this album. Evil Ways was the single, Shades of Time. This is an amazing record. And they went back in the studio to record a second album, which they had more time, and they were more into it at that time. The second album they came out with, of course, was the legendary, amazing Abraxas, which I have a tattoo of this of the let's see, where is it? Yeah, that right there. I have that on my arm right there. This second album contains the amazing Black Magic Woman, written by Peter Green. It's in that National Bar, Oil Como Va, Mother's Daughter. It's a great record. Sia Cabot and Greg Riley. I love Greg Riley, one of my favorite musicians as well, organ player. And they got really successful after they did this album, and they got pretty bigger. So, and it's funny thing is, they decided to bring in different players. The first major player that they brought in that joined them at the end of this year, which is 1970, was Neil Sean. And Neil Sean played on the next record that they did, Santana 3, baby. Look at this. Love it. No One to Depend On. Taboo is on this record. Toussaint Overture. Everything is coming our way. It's coming our way. Yeah. Is another song. That's a great song. Carlos Santana was getting more spiritual, more serious, and him and Neil Sean trading guitars on this album was amazing. But they went through a lot after they came out with the third Santana 3 album. Carlos Santana got into Miles Davis, got into jazz music. Michael Shreves, the drummer, got into jazz music, so they tried to change their direction by the fourth album. And got a little personnel change for the fourth album, but it's still a great one. It's still, as far as I'm concerned, part of the original Santana, because Greg Riley is there, and then Michael Shreves is there. Caravanserai, with the Song on the Wind is on this album. This is a great record, and it's very jazzy and Latin, and you have to be in the mood to listen to it. But it's a great record. I love it. I've had 2 copies of this album, and I love it. It's one album that made me start playing guitar as well. Santana Caravanserai. Carlos was blazing this album, and so was Neil Sean as well. So the band broke up. The Santana originals, Greg Riley and Neil Sean, left to form Journey after that album, and they came with another personnel change, and they came out with this album here. 1973's Welcome. And the song Yours is the Light is the song on this album, is the best one on this one. And it's awesome. And this is, like I said, this is before the supernatural, before you got into the supernatural, before you thought about any of that stuff from the late 60s, the late 70s, early 80s Santana, which they had a career, but this is the stuff that it rests on still. People still buying this stuff. They did a tour, and then they came out with this album, Lotus. This is a triple live album from the 73 tour, from the Welcome tour. And this song has a 15-minute version of Incident at Neshabar, which is amazing. And Sid Cabot. And it's not this original band, but this album really stands the test of time, still sounds good. They went to the studio after that, still jazzy. I got a different vocalist, different keyboard man. It came out with Borboletto, 1974 Borboletto, which is a great record. It sounds starts off ambient, and it goes on and on and on and on, and then it just the song just busts out, and that tone that Carlos had. He had a hell of a tone. He started repeating himself, I think, around the Supernatural as far as his guitar solos, but this stuff here is all still natural to me anyway. In my personal opinion, his tone is amazing, and it's one that you can get into. Just playing ESPNs, not ESPNs at the time. He was playing Les Pauls at that time. The album that came out after this was Amigos, that had Europa on it. He came out with Festival. The live album they came out with, a live studio album out at that time, 77, which is the one I have, Moonflower. A lot of people know this album. It's a great one. Yeah, this is a good one. Then the Santana band, they broke up again. They went through so many different personnel changes, and the only original member that stayed really was Carlos. So it became Carlos's band. 2016, rumors were that the original Santana was getting back together with Greg Raleigh and Neil Sean, and they did, and I love that album, and they called it Santana 4. Came out 2016, and for me, I passed the Supernatural. I skipped the Supernatural to get to this. And this is the record. This is what you've been waiting for. The Woodstock era. Come on, man. And look at them back there. Look at Carlos and Neil and Greg Raleigh, which I have a DVD of this, and this is an amazing show as well. But this is Santana, and I love it. And his playing, Carlos Santana's playing is amazing. He has, his solos are amazing. His rhythms are amazing. He doesn't really sing at all. He sang on everything that's coming our way on the Santana 3 album. And but Greg Raleigh is my vocalist for Santana, to my heart. And go Carlos. And they came out with another album. They came out with many albums, but they had an album called Africa Speaks. It came out last year that I heard. It sounds pretty good. But for me, the Carlos Santana that I love is the original Santana, from the original Santana, 68 through 77. That's my era of Santana. And that's where you can find his best playing, his because he's doing really repeating himself. But of course, he's a millionaire. He can do that. But he's one of my favorite guitarists of all time. And again, Santana, Abraxas with Black Magic Woman, Samba Party, and all that stuff. And man, oh man. Anyway, Curtis Davis, Conversations in C minor, Santana.